President of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, offered a press conference from Beijing and offered a balance of his official tour of China that lasted almost a week. Also, Brazil's Supreme Federal Court began the first 4 criminal trials of the defendants involved in the coup attacks of January the 8th of this year. Iran and Iraq announced that the implementation of a security agreement to confront terrorism will be enforced from Friday on. Hello from the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba. This is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, offered a press conference from Beijing, China, on Thursday, in which he made a balance of his official tour of China that lasted almost a week. The Venezuelan head of state emphasized that with the meeting he held with his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, the bilateral relationships was elevated to a foolproof and all-weather strategic partnership. Within this framework, a total of 31 cooperation agreements were signed during the 17th meeting of the China-Venezuelan High-Level Commission. The agreements include areas such as the Belt and Road economy and trade, education, tourism, science and technology, health, airspace, and civil aviation, among others. And the Chinese President Xi Jinping hosted a welcome ceremony for visiting Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro Moros on Wednesday. While receiving the head of state, the military band played the national anthems of Venezuela and China, and a 21-gun salute was fired. Upon receiving the president of Venezuela, Xi Jinping expressed his support for Venezuela's efforts to maintain its sovereignty, national dignity, and social stability, as well as to resist During his meeting with his Chinese counterpart, Xi Jinping, the president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro Moros, affirmed that his country is ready to work and open a new era in the Venezuela-China relations.
First of all, on behalf of the Venezuelan people, I would like to express my best wishes to you, the ancient China and the People's Republic of China. The relationship between Venezuela and China are an example for the countries of the Global South. I have witnessed how China has become a superpower committed to peace, well-being and cooperation for humanity. My team and I are very happy to be in China again, and I am ready to work with the Chinese side to open a bright new era in Venezuela-China relations.
During the meeting, the Chinese head of state, Xi Jinping, praised the good health of bilateral relations between China and Venezuela and stressed his nation's support for the sovereignty of the South American nation.
China and Venezuela are good friends with mutual trust and good partners for common development. China has always viewed the development of relations with Venezuela from a strategic, high-level and long-term perspective, and will as always firmly support the efforts of Venezuela to safeguard national sovereignty, national dignity and social stability, and firmly support Venezuela's just cause of opposing foreign interference.
In the same line, the leader of the Asian nation stated his country and Venezuela will upgrade strategic ties with the purpose of enhancing their people's well-being.
I am very happy to announce with you the upgrading of China-Venezuela relations to an all-weather strategic partnership. Next year will mark the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between our two countries. I am willing to work with you to draw up a blueprint for the development of China-Venezuela relations and to consolidate and deepen cooperation between the two countries in various fields, so as to bring more benefits to the people of the two countries and inject more positive energy for world peace and development.
The Venezuelan president, Nicolás Maduro Moros, stated that the China-Venezuela High-Level Commission is one of the most beneficial for the nations.
All the commissions have been important. I believe they have been fruitful. But with the deep knowledge that I have, I say intensely, I believe that this is the best day that the China-Venezuela High-Level Commission has ever had for the relationship between our countries.
The Venezuelan Executive Vice President TeleSUR Rodriguez referred to the historic relations between both countries and the roles of President Maduro and his counterpart Xi Jinping in its development.
We know that China and Venezuela, one heart and one mind for their cooperation, and under the leadership of President Maduro and President Xi Jinping, have been able to remove from the road all the obstacles that our cooperation has suffered in these 22 years of existence of the Commission.
Cuba's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Bruno Rodriguez, highlighted the importance of science, technology and innovation for the members of the G77 plus China. At a press conference in connection with the G77 and China Summit to be held in Havana from September 15th to 16th, the Cuban Foreign Minister affirmed that the summit's draft final declaration includes the purposes and principles of the group and meets the needs of developing countries. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find the news in different formats, news updates and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Now it's time for Venezuela on the Move, our series on Venezuelans that found strategies and alternatives to the liabilities resulting from sanctions and the problems of the day-by-day life. In this occasion, we go to the central west of the country and we will visit an agroecological farm in the state of Cojedes. Our correspondent Adriana Sibori shows us the following report, how the agroecological farm, Doña María y Don Guillermo, and the importance that its workers give to the protection of nature. Let's see.
The owner of this agroecological farm, a ritual at the entrance.
The people who come from outside put their hands inside because this is curative. It cures arthritis. It is bachaco soil. It is an insect that lives in the tropics and gives out a fungus that has 108 micro and macro elements, and the body has precisely those 108 elements.
In the distance, one of his neighbors is fishing in silence. Not even with the passing rain does he flinch. Here they call fish or any type of meat salado.
It is expensive to get outside because if we get enough for a kilogram of pasta, we do not get enough to buy the salado. So sometimes I ask permission to come and take 10 or 5 small fish.
And that's how you push forward.
That's how I push forward. He helps me and I help him.
As you walk around the area, he's observed, and a good lunch arrives.
That's not a coporo, that's tilapia. How is it going to be a tilapia? No, it's a coporo. Can't you see?
He's one of the 14 siblings tending the land.
Nature speaks, cries, moans. It is true. What happens is that we don't understand it. If you put your ear to the ground, you can hear how the earthworms sound, how the flowers grow. But men do not know that. The planetary system is in crisis. Right now you can feel the climate change because unfortunately man has neglected to protect the environment, and what we do here is to protect the environment in an educational way.
He runs this place by himself. His daughters used to help him, now they live abroad.
That was a nightmare. Imagine what it was for me. A sacrifice, a hard blow in the chest. But they will soon come back. Here we have everything. You throw any grain on the ground and it grows. So there is no need to leave the country.
His brother-in-law lends a hand when he gives environmental courses to students or opens for ecotourism. Now there is little movement.
It's difficult. Sometimes it's the gasoline. Sometimes it's the transportation.
While the fire continues to burn on one side in a corner and shows decomposed, he prepares himself.
It is totally biodegradable. It does not cause side effects to health, to nature. What happens with chemical fertilizers? They salinize the soil and compact it.
The bees, their passion, each one in its hive, and they have no stinger.
They are the great pollinators of 270,000 tree species that exist in the tropics, and they pollinate that amount of trees. That is why they have such importance.
Looking for a biologist to start a butterfly farm is his next step.
Luis Horacio Gutiérrez y Adriana Sibori, TeleSUR, Cojedes, Venezuela.
And on Wednesday, Brazil's Supreme Federal Court began the first 4 criminal trials of the defendants involved in the coup acts of January the 8th of this year. These are the first 4 Bolsonaristas to be tried for the role in the invasion and looting of the buildings of the 3 branches of government in Brazil. The defendants, Aécio Lúcio Costa Pereira, Thiago de Assis Matar, and Moacir José dos Santos, and also Mateus Lima de Carvalho Lázaro, will answer for crimes such as armed criminal association, violent abolition of the democratic rule of law, and a coup d'etat. The trial began with the presentation of the case by Minister Alexandre de Moraes.
On January 8, 243 people were arrested in the act inside public buildings and in the Three Powers Square. On January 9, 1,927 people were taken to the National Police Academy.
The criminal action engineered by the agents in which the defendant participated had the nefarious motive of continuously preventing the regular exercise of constitutional powers and provoking the deposition of the legitimately constituted government.
In Brazil, marches by indigenous women from several regions of the country continue, seeking the demarcation and protection of their lands. Under the slogan, Women Biomes in Defense of Biodiversity Through Ancestral Roots, thousands of indigenous women mobilized in Brazil to defend their rights and demand the demarcation of their lands and the end of illegal mining. In this sense, next September 20th, the vote on the time frame will be taken up again at the Supreme Court, a key trial for indigenous peoples in their ancestral territories. In Peru, workers of the Administrative Services contract regime marched on Wednesday to demand labor improvements from the government. Workers from different parts of the country gathered at the San Martin Square in Lima, the capital of Peru, from where they began a march towards the National Congress to demand for government agencies and the Ministry of Labor a labor system with decent benefits for all public employees. The main demand of the workers is the payment of bonuses offered in the month of July and which they have not received so far.
We, the state workers, are in a national day of struggle, mainly to stop the abuses and lies of the Minister of Economy and Finance. One of the first lies is to have signed a collective agreement for a special bonus of 600 sols that should have been paid in July. We are already at the end of September, and he has not yet presented the supplementary credit bill. It lies upon lies. He signs an agreement and makes public offers and does not fulfill them. Besides the abuses of his officials against the right to collective bargaining that has cost us 42 years to achieve.
U.S. authorities reported that the country registered more than 9 million children in poverty. According to official data, this is the highest increase in poverty for minors in a single year in the history of the country. According to Sharon Parrots, who chairs the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, this increase is the responsibility of the Congress. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at TeleSUR English, and there you will be able to re-watch our interviews, the top stories, the special broadcastings, and more. Just hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. We have a final short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Iran and Iraq announced that the implementation of the security agreement reached to confront terrorism will start on Friday. The announcement was made by the diplomatic heads of both nations who met this Wednesday in Tehran. Both the Iraqi Foreign Minister Fuad Hussein and his Iranian counterpart Hossein Amir Abdullahian spoke positively of the agreement signed earlier this year to protect their common border, especially in the Kurdish region of northern Iraq. The agreement comes after a series of attacks perpetrated by the Iran against Iraqi territory, targeting armed groups sheltering on the other side of the border. The agreement commits the states to disarm the insurgent groups and withdraw their bases, the deployment of border guards to prevent infiltration of militants across the border, and the handover to Iran of suspects wanted under the law. Let's move on to other topics. On Wednesday, the city of Derna in eastern Libya reported death tolls in the thousands, and a very high number of people were feared dead after two dams burst under the pressure of torrential rains, releasing powerful floodwaters that swept away everything in their path. Given the difficult access to this town of 100,000 inhabitants, uncertainties remain over the number of victims of the disaster, which could have left several thousand people dead or missing, according to the authorities. Lebanon sent a military plane with humanitarian aid to Libya, departing from Marka military airport in Amman. A senior official said that his country's government remains in close cooperation with the Libyan authorities. Let's hear it.
We are in continuous communication with authorities there to assess their needs and to know whether they need more aid. We focused in this shipment on basic necessities, such as food and relief aid like tents, blankets, and whatever needed in such conditions, in addition to food parcels suitable for such situations.
Italian military and firefighters load material, including inflatable boats, onto a plane at Pisa airport before it heads to flood-hit Libya. On Wednesday, the Italian Defense Ministry announced it will send a ship and two planes to the North African country to deliver material and help rescue efforts following the catastrophic floods that have left at least thousands dead and missing. And the French aircraft carrying around 40 rescuers and several tons of medical equipment, including a field hospital, is preparing to take off from the Istres military base in south of France for Libya to help those affected by the deadly floods. This assistance comes in addition to the efforts provided by other nations such as Turkey, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates, which were among the first countries to respond to the catastrophe in the war-scarred country that also displaced tens of thousands. In Morocco, an aftershock of magnitude 3.9 shakes the province of Al Haouz, south of Marrakesh. The new quake occurred while authorities were searching and rescuing people. No new loss of life or material losses have been reported as a result of this earthquake. This after the 6.8 magnitude earthquake that occurred 5 days ago and left more than 3,000 dead and more than 2,000 injured. And the South Korean Prime Minister Han Duck-soo was in Poland on Wednesday for talks on regional security amid the conflict in neighboring Ukraine. Han Duck-soo also addressed military cooperation in nuclear energy as the two countries continue to strengthen ties. Han and his Polish counterpart Mateusz Morawiecki visited an airbase in Minsk, Mazowiecki, and eastern Poland, where they observed Korean Fa-50 fighter jets that Poland recently purchased along with other military equipment. And the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida on Wednesday reshuffled his cabinet and key party posts to strengthen his position ahead of a key party leadership vote next year. Kishida appointed a new defense minister and the country's first female foreign minister since 2004. Kishida also appointed 5 women to the 19-member cabinet as part of his attempt to improve the low support ratings for his previous male-dominated cabinet, which had only 2 women. The 5 women matched the number in 2 previous Japanese cabinets in 2014 and 2001. And we have come to the end of this news brief. Remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.